Hello and good morning for everyone in our Zoom. I'm based in Belgrade, so my time now is almost same like all European, almost like 1 hour or less. So, as I mentioned before, my name is Mohamed Taman. I'm Java champion and working as a solution architect for Magna. So I'm glad to be here today at Microsoft Java Developer Conference 2025. Thanks for having me here again. So, as a part of slogan, code the future with Java and AI. During my presentation, Java 25's Hidden Gems, I will discuss a significant plans for Java 25 that promote its continued evolution. So, however, I just want to give disclaimer here that I cannot promise to cover everything due to time constraint, but at the end there are resources available for further exploration. So, without further ado, let's deep dive to our presentation. So I do write articles and I have some publications, not very famous, but it's still sold out until now, specific of them. So please follow. And if you have any questions on anything, you can catch me here. Those are the most common social media links that you can reach me out. Have any questions, discussions, and especially my GitHub account contain all my POCs and the new, updates for Spring, for Java, promoting and updating my latest project to Java 25 or Java 24 to see the migration plans. There is a lot of documentation things. I hope it will be very useful for you. If you are lazy like me, which is the good thing sometimes, you can just search my name, Mohamed Taman, on Google, and you will find all these kind of things, so you don't have to memorize it. So let's see our agenda today. We will have a little bit introduction, and we're going to check out some language improvement that are coming into Java 25. And also we would like to check some improvement and behind the scene improvement and addition and some relevant bug fixes, and as well as additions and security enhancement to the language that already delivered. And also we, as there is new APIs coming, there is APIs going. So we have to know about them in order to know how to avoid using them and the future plan for removing. Then you can stop using and you see the alternatives for those. So it's very important to keep this housekeeping. And finally, I would like to speak about projects, GDK projects, plans for 2025, and how it will affect Java 25 development and the future projects that we will have. Specific, not all of them, but I will focus on 3 major projects that we will speak. Then, if we have time, we'll have questions. If not, you can ask me outside. So, what happens? Yes, Java is like ninja for me. Every day is evolving, and also promoting, modernizing, and it's really now we can use Java everywhere again. And happy birthday for Java. It's 30 years old language, which is with a very stability and very optimistic plans about the future, and it's catching up with all the trends and solving almost all the use cases and corner use cases that we have, from cloud to embedded systems, as well as mobile devices and on-prem as well, and web. So some specific plans, that Java 25 arrived on last March. So this is with the celebration of 20 years. So, and also it has 24 JIPs that has been delivered that cover improvements to the language API performance and tooling, including in the JDK itself. Java 25 will arrive on September 16th as proposed, and the final, schedule for that. And Java 25 is available for now as a fork from OpenJDK for download, and you can start trying it out. And it has some additions and bug fixes and API enhancement that you can read on the release notes. And currently, as of this presentation, its build is 17. So Java will continue evolving in 2025. There is a many big plans for OpenJDK from projects like Babylon, Loom will continue, Lydian, Lilliput, Banama, and Valhalla is plans to push Java forward. So we would have to speak about some of them, and let's see the plans. So first, and always would love to see about what is the language improvement that has been committed. If you go to visit the GDK, website, and which is like, you can see there is legend always I will give on the upper right corner of the presentation. After I share this presentation with you, you can just click to the link, go to the JIP 502, and you can view the whole Java enhancement proposal about all the changes, motivations, and goals and everything. So the first thing that you will find is that targeting 25 is stable values, and this is very important API, because stable values are values that can be assigned only once during an application runtimes, remaining constant thereafter, regardless of when they are set. And this is very important. But if you are asking me why we are trying to get, what is the benefit from having stable values, is stable values is the way to standardize lazy initialization, because in normally using Java we have a different way to do lazy initialization to optimize the code and only ask for initializing objects on demand when we need it. So but the variation is not always optimized, and it's not readable for each like developer, and even sometimes developers even doesn't understand why we are doing this code in this way. So as I mentioned again, why stable values? It's a standardized the lazy initialization of constants and enable the GVM mainly to optimize these constant, similarly to how it handles final values. So for sure, let's have a quick example to understand. Like consider this like simple application component with logger. We all always log in our application. This is very viable use case. So the logger here actually is a final field in order controller, must be eagerly initialized whenever an instance is created. This can slow the creation, as obtaining a logger often involve costly operations like reading configurations data and preparing log storage. This is like hurting performance. But what if we have multiple components, each with its own logger? The application starts very slowly as each component initializes its logger, for sure, which can hurt startup time and many because unnecessary a need for this. Some component even might never log events. So why do we do these costly operations upfront? So we often delay initialization and initializing complex like object until necessity comes, ensuring they are created only when we need it. So we do this with a bundling of the final keyword. So one way is to achieve this, as as mentioned, like abandon the final keyword and rely on mutable fields to express at most once mutation, as we are doing in this git logger. It's not thread safe and it has some consequences. So the solution here is to use a stable value. A stable value of the type stable value class holds a single data value. It must be initialized before it's retrieved and remain immutable, and it enables deferred immutability. So the logger field holds the stable value from stable value of factory method. Initially, this value is unset and contain no content. Then the get logger method invokes logger.orElse set. So on the stable value to retrieve its content. If the stable value is set, or else set returns the value. If it's unset, it's initialize the stable value using the provided lambda expression, as you can see here, and return the value. Thus, or else set ensure that the stable value is initialized before it's used. Our example here initialize a stable value when calling or else set in the get logger method, allowing the content actually to use the information available there. However, accessing the logger's stable value must go through the method every time and do some computation. So it's better to specify how to initialize the stable value at declaration without initializing it. Then can be done with supplier of the stable value, and this is more even readable, and it will guarantee all the laziness, create a smooth one, and it is thread safe. So this is the preferred way to initialize stable value, and this is all about the stable value. So let's check out some improvements. And we first, we have some problems that initially has been mandated by Java language specification, but it was not mentioned. So in Java, each instance actually, when you have inner classes, and you are trying to create this class hierarchy, inner class has to has instance of the outer class passed to it. So and it's tied to enclosing classes. When we are create inner classes using the new keyword, especially the enclosing instance is passed to its like constructor. Although this is happening behind the scene and it's not something that you have seen, but in the language Java language specification, as I mentioned, they have proposed something like this. But so before JDK 25, there was a bug. Like it was possible to use the core reflection, such as like, new instance or specifically crafted classes files to invoke inner classes constructor with null. And a lot of legacy code also have this kind of notation. So as this is also will result, in unexpected program failures and behavior. So in 25, this behavior has been, fixed. And in Java 25, Java adds actually a null check for the enclosing instance in the inner class constructor. Now, instantiating an inner class with a null enclosing instance is not possible anymore. But someone will ask me, like, I have a legacy systems, but I cannot change and I need to bypass these checks. The good news is that for legacy code, at tune or risk, use the unsupported options like null check outer this equal to false, and it will bypass until you do the final migration. So another enhancement that has happened, the default console obtained via system.console is no longer based on JLine. And since, by the way, JDK 20, the JDK has included J-based line console implementation. Why? Offering a richer user experience and better support for virtual terminals, especially for IDEs. And the implementation was initially opt-in, so you have to, choose to opt in this like implementation as a system property in JDK 20 and in JDK 2021, and it becomes default, in Java 22. So there is some like maintenance problems, and maintaining Java baseline console has proven it's challenging and that it's not adequate easily. So consequently, Java reverts back to opt-in, similar to Java 20 and 21. So if you're like feeling that when you use Java 25, it will be continue based on the G line as a console implementation. No, it will not. You have to specify it in the properties file. So we had problems with file API, the old one. It's part of java.io.file that treats empty pass name as a current user directly. It doesn't do the same. So it has a lot of failed, implementation and unsupported behavior based on this. So from now on, the class has been updated so that an instance of the file created from the empty abstract pass name now behaves constantly like a file created from the current user directory. And this is very important. So a long-standing issue was that some methods failed with an empty pass name, and thus that means this changes methods like now can read exist is directory method return true. Before it was failing with false, and you have get free space, last modified, length methods return now expected values instead of 0, and finally set readable and set last modified will attempt to change the file attribute instead of failing. So all of those methods were failing before, but now they are providing the right behavior. And this is also, I want to mention one last thing. Sorry, this is with this change, java.io.file is now aligns with the same behavior of java.new.io file API. So if you are like, zipping and unzipping and extracting files from zip files or archive or jar files, now application could previously invoke end methods to release the resources held by inflator and deflators instances. But for now, they start to implement autoclosable. We are happy enough to use it with try resource statement, and also calling end and close will do the same behavior by releasing the instances of inflators and deflators. So I'm very excited and very happy to announce that in Java 25, all the requirement for TLS version 1.3 and CNCA1 algorithms has been added to the list of cryptographic requirement that all Java EE implementations must support. All cryptographic algorithms necessary for implementing the TLS version 1.3 cipher suite and signature mechanisms, which are defined in RFC 8446 as a must or should, now has been added and included in the implementation, and also all the algorithms that has been required by CNA version 1 has been also added. So we are now have all the security suite fresh algorithms that keep our code secure and non-vulnerable. Final small updates that people like regarding the locales and dates from Unicode Consortium Consortium CLDR is now upgraded to version 47, like featuring new local dates, translation changes, and essential update affecting date, time, and number formatting. So those are some enhancements. That there is more, but which is I can't cover now. But I'm trying to give you the most significant about APIs, bug fixes, security, and some local changes. Now let's say that what we need to remove from our API in order also to do our migration. So let's say what is we gonna farewell to some APIs that has gone forever. First first one is to remove the source code and build support for the last part of 32-bit port. So after removing the 32-bit port for Windows in Java 24, Java 25 also will remove the remaining 32-bit variant for Linux. And why this? The goal of this is to reduce the extra effort actually needed for 32-bit port in the future, enabling JDK developers to focus more and solely on the new features like Loom, foreign functional memory APIs, Vector API, and later GC barrier expansion and more. So this is why the cost of maintaining this port exceeds the benefits that we will have it in the JDK. There is something not yet announced on the JDK as a feature set, but I am proposing that it will come later, but this is from the mailing list because it was proposed to remove finally the applet API for many reasons, because it was deprecated for removal since JDK 17. It's obsolete because there is no one from the vendors, neither JDK releases, no current web browser support the applets anymore, and the motivation list is very long that will move us to remove this API because it's not relevant anymore. And there is no reason for sure to maintain and retain unused and unstable applet API anymore. And since JDK 25, it will be removed completely with all its related APIs. So now let's speak about the projects and plans for 2025 JDK. So in 25 project, as I mentioned, Babylon, Loom, Lydian, Lilliput, Panama, and Valhalla. It's something like vanilla, but it's sweet and short to pronounce like Valhalla. Actually, the plans. This section discuss Java 24 strategies, actually focusing on the key OpenJDK project, Loom, Panama, and Valhalla. From my perspective, because those are completely affecting the JDK development, and they are relying to each other. So the plans are really promising here in 2025. And it will, affect the Java version 2025. So before we begin, I want again to clarify that while I'm outlining the target project features for this year, actually, they may not be released in Java 25. So let's stay patient. So are you ready? Let's deep dive in. First of all, Project Loom. In 2023, Project Loom finally the revolutionized the way that we would like to deal with threading, the finalized virtual threads, and they are in production now. And a lot of frameworks and benchmarks showed that virtual thread really proves stability and very big performance rather than a normal operating system thread or normal thread. So after this finalization of virtual threads, eliminating the main barrier to adoption in 2024. So, for example, binning threads with object monitoring motors, now there is no need for pinning in synchronized block or objects weights method. This feature actually has been finished and also was released in last March with JDK 24. And so currently the highest priority and plans for 2025 is the work toward structured concurrency API finalization. And this is streamlines the concurrent programming by treating related tasks in a different threads as a single unit fork, providing advantages over other thread modules. So second is scoped value can be finalization, and scope values can be summarized as an improved, more virtual thread friendly version of thread local for sharing data between talking threads. So this was like the plans for Project Room, and it's very important because it affects performance and scalability of our projects. Let's speak about Project Panama, a very, very, very important project. And the Project Panama has three essential plans for 2025. And first, the Vector API, which is still waiting for its cousin, Valhalla project. So let's discuss that the Vector API, which is actually stable, and it went through, it's now like 10th incubation. And it's somehow very stable to be used, which is stable and used by several projects. However, it's still await Valhalla for identity and specification for optimal performance. Vectors must lack identity, which is achieved through a custom optimizations in the hotspot. This behavior remains uncertain without value types. And those value types, once Valhalla Java Enhancement Proposal 401 initiates the preview on value classes and objects, the Vector API can transition from incubation to preview, leading to a throughout re-evaluation that may result in some modification for Vector API optimization. So the foreign function and memory API was finalized in Java and JDK 2022 as well, and has received positive feedback. The project now focuses on optimizing memory access for maximum performance, and this is very important, and minimizing startup and warm-up time with method and variable handles. And it's like more improvement for FFM. And also, they are creating something called developing record mappers for efficient mapping between the native memory, segments, and Java abstractions like records and interfaces. Core functionality is progressing well, with various methods being explored. Finally, which is the last point, JExtract generate bindings from native libraries, focusing in simplifying simplifying the bindings between those headers and data. Just focusing on the simpler binding with a fewer side classes generated through the stable value API. That this is very important for us. Stable values are under development, as you have seen before, and that once it's releases here in JDK 2025, it will be very easy to JExtract to finalize its work and binding. So lastly, Valhalla. We cannot finish the presentation without speaking about the plans for Valhalla. And as I mentioned before, JEP 401 value classes and object preview has become a tip of the spear. The primary focus is getting it out to you. A surprising, actually, like something coming to Valhalla, right, like emergence of null check types such as like string bang and string question mark, also called like emotional types. presumably not because they are evoking strong feelings, although they are doing. So we might see this kind of enhancement. I'm very interesting about it. And finally, some some early exploration of improved numerics and primitive layered on top of the value classes. So if you'd like to learn more about this, are a lot of resources from the Oracle developer team relationship, and you can visit Java inside the Java, and also a lot of articles on Microsoft, like with cooperation with the teams from Oracle to bring Java forward. And there is like OpenGDK also, and here all the links that you can visit in order to know more about it. And thank you very much for having me here